Xbox Fanfest is an event that Microsoft puts on during E3 week for their uber super fans. It's a great time, but it might be changing. What's going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another daily video. Hope everybody's doing well. We're going to get right into it. Not really sure how long this video is going to be, but we're going to be talking about Xbox Fanfest and maybe some changes that might be coming to it based on a survey that was given recently to the attendees of FanFest 2017. So, for those of you not aware, Xbox FanFest is this event during E3 that Microsoft puts on for its fans. You can play the early games, like people were able to play Crackdown 3, Forza Horizon 7, a whole bunch of stuff with an open bar. You get a whole cool bunch of swag. Everybody got a Seagate 2TB hard drive that was custom made with the Project Scorpio on the top. Everybody got a pair of like $150 headsets, a bunch of t-shirts, pins, stickers, a backpack that is actually really cool. You get all this stuff. You get to meet your fellow Xbox gamers. You get to meet some of the executives that are there as well. It's a really cool time, especially if you're a humongous Xbox fan. It's actually, some would say, like the best time at this past E3. Now, I attended FanFest 2016 last year, and it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. The trip to the Forza Car Museum or the Car Museum was definitely the low point, but the event in the theater with the Gears of War question and answer session and the movie and all that stuff, that was definitely worth the price of admission. Now, a lot of my buddies went to this year's FanFest. They all have great tales to tell. Open bar, everybody's getting drunk, playing these unreleased games, getting all this swag, meeting people they haven't met before, and it sounded like an incredible time. And even there was a Crackdown donut wall at one of these events. But of course, one of the main attractions is you get into FanFest, you also get to go to the Xbox press conference, and you get front row seats to those conferences. Everybody, if you remember watching the press conference this year, everybody on the floor next to Phil were basically the fans from FanFest. Microsoft does right by their fans when it comes to this event. I guess you could say, I know Sony doesn't have one, but then Sony does have their own kind of PlayStation experience where fans can pay a certain amount of money to attend this 2 or 3 day convention where they have a whole bunch of different things going on. It's basically for the fans. So Sony does theirs at the end of the year that you have to pay for. Microsoft has theirs during E3 where fans can get to go to the conference and then go to E3. Now, normally this is a free expense for everybody. You don't have to pay other than paying to get a plane ticket and a hotel if you live out of town like I would have to. However, that might change in the future, and the question is, would you pay to attend FanFest? So in a recent survey that went out to a bunch of attendees at this past year, one of the closing questions, which I will have up on screen so everybody can see, is there's about 5 questions and all about paying for the experience. Now, this may mean nothing. Companies do this all the time, and I think they even had this kind of thing last year, but then it could mean something. Microsoft does spend a lot of money on these events for their fans. So say the first question, it says, given your recent experience, would you be willing to pay for FanFest? And obviously it's either yes or no. Interesting question. And I'm sure there are people watching this video that can answer this question. Would you guys who have been to FanFest pay for that experience? And you can put in the comments yes or no. But the question is, how much would you be willing to pay? Question number 24 says, if you were to buy a ticket, at what price would FanFest tickets be too expensive for you to ever consider buying them? So they're basically looking for the maximum. You know, they come out and say, FanFest tickets are $1,000. At that point, they'll be like, So Microsoft's going to collect all this data, they'll put it into they'll look at it analytically, see what the means and all that stuff is, to see what price is the point where people would consider to be too high. Next question says, at what price would FanFest tickets be so low that you would be concerned about the quality of the FanFest experience? That's another good thing, because you want to get the high and you want to get the low, so you can kind of figure out the in-between of where you actually want to price this. And then it's a good question, like, what price would you consider it to be too cheap? Like, if you're paying $10, well, what kind of experience am I really getting if I'm getting it for 10, right? I know people have been getting in for free, but that's how it's always been, and the experience has mainly been good out of the people I've talked to that have been to all of them. This year's was the best FanFest experience they put on. Last year's, I think, suffered from the fact that I don't think they were really prepared. They had that raffle out in the mall, and way too many people showed up, and they were just discombobulated. They did right by everybody by getting everybody in, but it didn't seem like it was well thought out, considering they had a year from the previous year to think about that. So everybody says this year's the best, last year's was so-so, and the year before's was really good. So what price is the most you would pay for it? What price would be the least where you'd be concerned about the quality of the experience? And then question 26 is, at what price would FanFest tickets start to get expensive, so that it is not out of the question, but you would have to give it some more thought? So they want to know, like, okay, like, what are you kind of really willing to pay? Whereas, like, the first question is basically saying, like, if it was this, what was the price you would absolutely not be willing to pay? But then this question is like, this is expensive, but what is basically your kind of limit that you'd be like, okay, that's still like a decent price? Is it $100? Is it $200? Is it $500? And of course, this is going to vary from person to person. Obviously, people with more money are probably going to be willing to pay more. People with less money are obviously not going to be paying as much. So it's an interesting kind of dilemma there. And then question number 27 is, at what price would you consider FanFest tickets a bargain, a great buy for the money? So kind of to go along with question 25, which was the one that was so low it'd be considered, you'd be concerned about the quality. So this is asking, like, what's the lowest kind of amount of money you would pay that you would consider be like, man, you got to get on this deal. You got to get on this deal. It's only $50 and you get all this stuff. I mean, the amount of swag that you get there is a lot. I mean, just that 2 terabyte hard drive, that Project Scorpio 2 terabyte hard drive, it probably runs about $150. And it's custom made, so it's even worth even more. The backpack, the headsets are at least $100. So, I mean, there's a lot of value in these things. But for me, when I went and I got all that stuff, I got the backpack, I got all the swag. What I still remember most from FanFest wasn't the swag. It really wasn't even the games, even though I got to play Sea of Thieves and a whole bunch of other stuff. It was the people I got to meet at the show, and you honestly really can't put a price tag on those type of experiences. You know, meeting Matt Kesselring, who runs third-party business relations for Microsoft, and you know, forming a friendship with him and talking to him for 30 minutes about stuff, you know, talking to David Pring, who created the Elite controller, and him asking you for your feedback on the controller itself, talking to Phil Spencer for an hour about Xbox gaming in general. I mean, those are kind of experiences you can't really put a price tag on. They're invaluable. To me, at least to my opinion. Like, I couldn't, if you were to ask me how much I would pay for the experience of FanFest for 2016, it'd be hard for me, because what I remember most is the people I met, the friendships I made, the conversations we had, more so than the tangible items that I received from going. Yeah, sure, the tangible items are great, but what always matters to me is the relationships you build between people. So it'd be tough for me to answer these questions, because if you get those experiences and you meet those people and you make connections, it's worth more than $500. It'd be even worth more than $1,000. You see what I'm kind of going with this? And I know a lot of other people watching this will understand what I'm talking about, and it just really doesn't go for Xbox Fanfest, but it's really a lesson to learn in real life. Connections are important. Cultivating relationships with other people is important. And you really can't put a price tag on those things. So I thought I'd make a video about all this stuff, talk about it. It is interesting info about, hey, what's the lowest amount you would pay? What's the highest you want to pay? Because this is a good event. And if they do this again next year for 2018, I would want to attend. And if I had to pay, then so be it. I would pay for it because the experience, the connections, the memories, and the friendships you make are worth more than that bill you will pass over. And that's just kind of my opinion on the whole thing. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you pay for FanFest? How much would you pay? What would be the most you'd pay? What would be the least you'd pay? I'm really kind of interested in seeing what people think, especially if you're an Xbox fan. Let me know in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't. And I will see everybody later.